Good evening, Britannia. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're watching this from. We come to you guys with some news about Westminster, the mother of all parliaments, the UK Parliament, which is in danger. And because of that, they've increased the security. And we also have a letter from the Speaker of the House of Commons, Lindsay Hoyle, who has now informed the members of Parliament and their staff on what they should or should not do, essentially, or what they can do to protect themselves. Hello to everybody in the live chat. We're going to come to you guys as usual to get your reaction throughout tonight's live update. Let's talk about this issue because I'm going to show you the letter in a second. But this is not really, again, surprising, mostly because there have been so many people that warned us against this decades ago. Some controversial people, Enoch Powell, for example. But because he was controversial, people ignored his warnings. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, people did it as well. Even when people like Tommy Robinson were going around 15 years ago, 20 years ago, warning about what's going to happen if the Liberal side continue to bring people into the country without vetting their backgrounds and hope that everybody will just integrate. Well, this happens. Because this is no longer, in parts of the country, it's no longer multiculturalism. It's one culture dominating over all the other cultures, including the British culture. Now we have a situation where the Lindsay Hoyle and the House authorities have now increased the security around Parliament because a lot of the MPs who voted against a ceasefire a few days ago, last week, are now being targeted. Not really that surprising, but there are also a lot of young people who work for them as their parliamentary researchers and caseworkers, staffers in general, and they are also being targeted. Their offices are being targeted, and we're going to talk about that in a second. Let's go to this letter first. We received that last night. They sent this Lindsay Hoyle to the MPs. Dear colleagues, as you know, the safety and security of all colleagues is a top priority for me and the wider House administration, especially considering the current heightened community tensions, significant increase in protest activity, and spike in abusive and threatening behaviour towards members. The ability of colleagues to securely travel to Westminster and constituency offices to fulfil our duties as elected members is essential. So, I have agreed with IPSA. IPSA is basically the body that's responsible for the salaries and of course everything else, expenses and everything else when it comes to internally the affairs for the MPs and their staff. To temporarily relax the rules around IPSA funded travel so that members can make use of taxis to and from the state or constituency offices where you feel this is necessary in the circumstances. So that's important. So this is not really supposed to be misused just randomly. This is in a situation where you know there's a threat or there's a massive protest outside, Islamist protest, or there's a threat in general, that you can actually now use IPSA to get the taxis. Secondly, that details of these individual journeys will also not be published by IPSA given the security implications. That's actually quite important. When it comes to the details, because IPSA is supposed to be transparent. They're supposed to be, you can check what MPs are spending their money on and everything else, the details of it. But when it comes to this, they're going to be hiding that just for the taxis, obviously in terms of the timing and where they go. The Met Police have also agreed to extend the high visibility on uniformed patrols outside the state perimeter on sitting days, covering the key access points. This will provide greater reassurance for colleagues, staff, and the public who visit. Let's not forget that a lot of people also visit the Houses of Parliament on a daily basis. Lindsay Hoyle continues by saying, I will continue to prioritise these matters over the coming months with the Parliamentary Security Department and review the position on IPSA-funded travel at the end of the year. You can find further information, practical information below. There are also a wide range of existing services provided to support the security of members and staff, which I would encourage colleagues to use. So, obviously, there's a lot of conversation about taxpayers' money and everything else, because obviously the issue that we have currently is, I think Lindsay Hoyle as the Speaker of the Commons and the House authorities simply want to be seen to be doing something. Mostly because the problem is not financial. MPs have enough money. They get a good salary.